World War II submariner Ray Horsnall claims he narrowly escaped death when his submarine was depth-charged by a Canadian warship. He was not on a British sub, but a top-secret German stealth U-boat, which avoided capture during the war thanks to its rubber coating. Ray ran away to sea at the age of 16 from his parental home in the sleepy village of Leyden Roding in Essex, and favoured the merchant navy. But he ended up at a Royal Navy recruiting office in Romford, and was challenged by a big Royal Marine. "Your mother know you're here?" Ray made no reply, but later it was a shocked mum who opened up his call-up papers. He went on to serve on various submarines from 1943 onwards in the North Sea, and blamed fearfully close depth charges for his Parkinson's disease in later life. Latterly, Ray was based at Dunoon and Rothesay, where he and his wife Peggy enjoyed their 1949 honeymoon. Ray was demobbed before his 21st birthday, saying that in the final days a senior officer was given 6 DSM medals to allocate. He put all the crew's names into a hat to pick the recipients of the medals. The campaign medals awarded to Ray are the Atlantic Star, the 1939 to 1945 War Medal, and the 1939 to 1945 Star. These are Ray's twin-rank slides, showing a 4-bladed submarine propeller in contrast to the RAF 2-blader. His tallest tale is of helping to take a surrendered German U-boat nicknamed the Black Panther across the Irish Sea to Northern Ireland. Roy claims that Black Panther was depth-charged by a Canadian warship on the last day of the war, while he was writing a letter home. He told CRH News, "It frightened the living daylights out of me. We came to the surface quicker than a cork." But does Ray's yarn hold water? The Canadian vessel attacked the top-secret Narrated U-boat as it was escorted by Allied ships to Northern Ireland. Ray recalls how his skipper broke all surfacing records to give themselves up when depth charges exploded all around them. According to Ray's account of Black Panther's passage, they were depth-charged by this warship as they left Scotland. The official records make no mention of such an occurrence. But Ray was correct in saying that one of the escorts, Thetford Mines, was a Canadian frigate. It helped sink U-1302 in St George's Channel in March 1945. This is a photographic album featuring the journey from Scotland to Londonderry on May 14, 1945. The surrender of U-1105 in May 1945 was one of the first at sea at the end of the war in Europe. Black Panther had a hull which was covered with a rubber sheeting known as Olbrich, which was designed to preclude detection by sonar or ASDIC. In accordance with capitulation terms, it surfaced and broadcast its position to the northwest of Ireland at 9:07 on May the 9th, and was located by an RAF Coastal Command Liberator at 12:34. Shortly afterwards, a Sunderland flying boat arrived overhead, instructing the U-boat to head on the surface for Loch Eriboll in the far northwest of Scotland. That was where the small arms and other explosives were removed, and Royal Navy armed guards placed on board. U-1105 arrived at the entrance to Loch Eriboll on May the 10th, where it was met by HMS Con, which provided a boarding party prior to the U-boat entering the loch. After being processed at Loch Eriboll, it was escorted to Loch Elsh near Skye on May the 11th. The principal role of the small Royal Navy party at Loch Elsh was the removal of the torpedoes, as well as taking the majority of the Germans into captivity. All the U-boats went through this process before they could be taken to Leeshaley in Northern Ireland to await the decision about their ultimate fate. German officers and men were removed, except for a steaming party, which consisted of the captain, the engineer officer, 1 executive officer, and 12 men. As soon as the torpedo compartments were pronounced clear, the torpedoes were disembarked. Within the first 54 hours, the 8 U-boats were cleared. These were U-293, 802, 826, 1009, 1058, 1105, 1109 and 1305. They then took part in Operation Commonwealth, which entailed sailing a convoy from Loch Elsh to Leeshaley, together with a representative escort from the Royal Navy's Western Approaches Command. This was in support of a public ceremony which the Commander-in-Chief, Admiral Sir Max Horton, arranged to take place at Leeshaley on May the 14th. So Max accepted the formal but staged surrender of the 8 U-boats, which had been the first to arrive. And that is another photo of Canadian frigate that Ray Horsnall claimed depth-charged U-1105 with him on board. Ray told CRH News that they had not kept to orders to stay on the surface and had dipped just below when they were given a very explosive warning. The 8 U-boats were manned by their Scottish and German crews under the supervision of Royal Navy personnel as they sailed into Loch Foyle on May the 14th. They were escorted by 11 Allied warships, including the Royal Navy's HMS Hesperus, the US Navy's USS Robert L. Payne, and the Royal Canadian Navy's HMCS Thetford Mines. Overhead was a close escort of Liberator, Sunderland and Wellington aircraft of RAF Coastal Command, while another Liberator and a Lancaster took aerial photographs. Well, was 1105 really depth-charged? According to Derek Waller, the world's leading authority on what happened to the U-boat that surrendered in 1945, the answer is an emphatic no. He told CRH News HMCS Thetford Mines was one of the escorts for 4 of the U-boats, including U-1105, as they approached the entrance to Loch Foyle. But there is no mention whatsoever of any sort of explosive message being sent to any of the U-boats. I have 3 separate reports of proceedings for the commanding officers who were present during the transit, including one from HMCS Thetford Mines, and none confirmed the story. My conclusion, therefore, is that the story is likely to be one of a case of fog of war, and possibly happened earlier in Ray Horsnall's career somewhere else. Cases of confusion are not unusual, and I have come across quite a few during my U-boat-related research. Amongst Ray's wartime souvenirs is a touching letter written to a German Navy rating called Gunther.
Dear Gunther, thank you very much for your letter of 15th January. I am especially pleased that you have finally come to your senses, dear Gunther. Be realistic, Gunther. I have had a vague idea, but never realized how troubled you were. You never really indicated to me that you were in love with me. On the other hand, I have never mentioned it either. But let's put an end to it, and I wish you from the bottom of my heart that you will find happiness without me. I hope that you finally can understand me, and that you will not be too angry with me. Anyway, how are you? I hope that you are well, what we cannot say about ourselves right now. You will have probably heard from the news service that the Russians will soon be at our doorsteps. Can you imagine how anxious we are? At one time we are told to leave, and then the next time we are told no. Anyway, nobody has any idea where we ought to be going. We have to wait and hope for the best, otherwise we will have a nervous breakdown. I would like to close today in the hope that this letter will reach you in the best of health. It would be nice to hear from you again. Many greetings from your friend, Ilse. Many greetings from my parents. Jürgen will be at home until Friday.
Ray also found a photograph of Gunther in uniform with the letter. They were discovered by Ray in a German rescue buoy, pictured here, which was designed to provide shelter for downed air and sea crews in the English Channel. They were routinely checked by the Royal Navy to see if friend or foe was sheltering. What happened to Gunther and Isel after the war is not known. But we do know what happened to the Black Panther. She was sent to America and evaluated before being blown up and sunk. The secret sub has since been rediscovered by divers and is now a popular wreck for visitors who take the plunge.